So hello, and thank you everyone for joining me. My name is Michael Smith, the National Consumer Education Manager of Janome Canada, and I'm once again back here at the Janome Sewing and Learning Centre in Oakville, Ontario, and I've got the lovely Tanya, if you want to flip around and say hi, who is our parts, notions, and accessories coordinator. I always just call her, yeah, that's it. I always just say parts and notions coordinator, but no, it's parts, notions, and accessories coordinator. Yes. It means she's my right-hand woman, so thank goodness, too, that I'm not totally alone. So, yes, we're here at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center, and we're going to start our fabulous new series, number 3, Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. Now, yes, forgive me. I know I'm going to get tongue-tied a million times. Obviously, some of you may know the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. So again, Tanya is so good coming up with ideas and inspiration. So again, when we were starting number 3, our series, what should we do? Then she had suggested, what about the Magical Machine Mystery Tour, and this way I can highlight more in the Janome line. With our first series, the Janome A to Z with Janome, then I focused all on the presser feet and again attachments and some accessories. And then with our second series, Janome's Awesome Accessory Countdown, we highlighted 12 of fabulous presser feet and, again, attachments and accessories for your machines. And now, with the Magical Machine Mystery Tour, we're going to focus on the machines itself. And then, yes, I will talk about the certain feet that the various machines come with, and then as well some additional accessories as well, because that's always fun. So, yes, we'll be able to focus more on the whole Janome line. So, entry level all the way up to the top of the line, and we'll talk about embroidery machines. In the other side of this building, we're at the Janome Sewing and Learning Center is technically 2 office units in the building. So on the other side of this unit that we have, we have the big long arm set up. So then I'll also be focusing on the Quiltmaker Pro 18 and the Quiltmaker Pro 16, the Pro Stitcher Premium software that goes with the long arms, our sit-down machine, the AQ SD16, so lots on the go. So for now, boom, we shall get started. So yes, I'm just going to take a quick drink of water. I'm sorry, I'm already getting dry. So yes, what I thought would be a cute place to start is this gorgeous machine over here. Ta-da! And, you know, it used to, if you may say, that's an unusual color. You know how sometimes plastic changes. This is the screwdriver that came with my machine. This is the brand new screwdriver. So at one point, this little machine used to be nice and bright white like this. But why I wanted to show you all this is my personal first little Janome. That it is 28 years that I bought this machine at my local Janome Dealer. I'm from the big town of Tillsonburg, Ontario, the tobacco capital, actually, of Ontario. So from my local Janome Dealer, I purchased this fabulous machine. I studied fashion design at the time, and I needed a machine I could use at home. That at school we used these big industrial machines, but they kicked us out at 10 o'clock. And then I had to go home and use my own machine. So I purchased this fabulous machine, and thus began my love affair with Janome. So this, again, is 28 years old, but is still going strong. So we'll plug it in. You know, there's not even a power switch. Power is strictly by plugging it in. And I will always tell people about this machine and how, again, this began my love affair with Janome. I started out with this, sewed on it for about 20 years, then eventually upgraded. About 6 years ago, I bought the fabulous top-of-the-line Memorycraft 15,000 quilt maker. So I have not sewn on this machine. Actually, it's probably going on about 10 years. There was a couple of years where I was traveling a lot, and actually I didn't sew on anything for a couple of years. Actually, I took a big hiatus. So this machine needs a good service, and then it is going to go on forever. It's one of our mechanical machines, which means that there's no computer components. I adjust the stitches by moving these dials. So right now it's on a straight stitch, but then I can adjust it to do like a zigzag, for example, and maybe you'll be able to see the needle position changing based on what stitch I select. So that's how you go about selecting your stitches, again, all of which are recorded across the top. But I thought this would be a fun machine to start with because, let me get that back to straight stitch, because look at this. I hope you'll be able to see. I don't have one of these machines to show you in person, so I hope you'll be able to see on this picture. But, you know, when I started with Janome as an educator about coming up 4 years ago, and we did a tour of the Janome line, and when I saw this machine, and this machine also comes in black too, which is very cool. But when I saw this machine, I said, hey, that's my machine. This machine in the photo is the HD1000, which is available in the Janome line. Double check with your Janome dealer. Right now, these machines, as well as many other Janome machines, are in hot commodity because of the pandemic. You know, people have been sewing more than ever. So a lot of machines that we have are on back order. But again, double check with your Janome dealer. They may have some of these and other machines, you know, in stock. So always double check with them. But this HD1000 readily available today. But I thought, oh my gosh, that's my machine. And what Janome has done, and I think it's so brilliant, they've taken the innards of this machine, the structure of the machine. You know, it's no longer called the limited edition, is what mine was, and the model number specifically was 344. But now it's the HD1000. Now the advantage, my little machine here has no needle threader. The HD1000 now has a needle threader. So they've taken kind of my machines and they've added to it. They've made improvements to it. So that's very slick. But the guts of it are the same. And again, how they're able to do that is all Janome machines. It doesn't matter if it's a serger, it doesn't matter if it's an embroidery machine, quilting machine, or sewing machine. They all start, every single Janome machine starts with a cast aluminum base. So it's lighter in weight because it's aluminum, but it's all solid. So this is what all your machines are built off of. It's not all plastic. It's, you know, plastic is what covers it, so it's easier to clean, it's nicer, it's brighter, but all of them start as solid metal. So this specific skeleton is not for this machine, but there's a skeleton for every machine. This is the skeleton. If you have our entry-level 1108 and 1122 machine, the SUV, Superior Utility Value machine, then this is your machine. This is what the inside of those 1122 and 1108 machines look like. And then again, all the other metal components are added to it. And then all the plastic covers, again, to make it easier to clean and nicer and everything are added on top of it. But again, so this is why Janome machines will last seemingly forever. And again, because this is a mechanical machine, then there's no computer parts to it. It needs a good oiling. Now, always as a word wise, you know, your machines, all of them need a good service. We recommend yearly, or again, if you're a big power sewer, use your machine every day. You might even take it in more often than a year, but at least once a year would be good. I haven't sewn on this machine again for probably about 10 years, so I must admit I'm a little neglectful in service because, again, I haven't been using it. But I think it is much like a car. You know, you wouldn't want to leave a car not being in operation, you know, for so long. It would definitely need a good clean and a good service if you left it after 10 years. So yes, before I start sewing ever again on this machine, I definitely want to take it to my authorized Janome service technician, and they will totally give it a good once over, and then we're good to go. Now, the fun thing about all of this, I love to save everything. So I made myself this little file many, many years ago. And in it, I kept my instruction manual and even the original newspaper ad that came from the Tilsonburg News, was the name of our newspaper in our town, and this is the original ad for this newspaper. So when I was home visiting my family, again, home from college, and I saw this ad and went, ooh, I could really use a sewing machine at home. So there was the original ad, and there's the original sales slip. Dare I show you the price? Again, this was 28 years ago, but the sales receipt is December 14th, 1992. So yes, and in fact, I still even have the warranty card. So yes, I wonder if it's still under warranty. After 28 years, no, it's not. But still, I have all of that. And the instruction book. I mean, there was the instruction book. So how cool. But in the instruction book, not only does it tell me how to adjust the machine, but it also gives me maintenance tips. And in this machine, mechanical machine, that it instructed me to oil it, take off the covers and oil it. And again, when I used this machine for 20 years faithfully, or almost 20 years faithfully, then yes, I did exactly as my manual said, and I oiled it, and it was good to go. Unless your machine manual says specifically oil it here and there and all that, do not. Please do not. And especially if you have a computerized sewing machine and all that, leave all the oiling up to your technician, certified technician. In this one, it was very simple to, again, take off the covers and oil. And then I always say, oh, you can use your Janome oil. These actually, you can get these from your Janome Dealer, that they're good quality sewing machine oil. And I love having this telescoping head, because then you can really get in where you need to. You don't want to use on any of your machines, if you're oiling them, if you're oiling the little bobbin case, bobbin area, then you don't want to use like motor oil or 3-in-1 oil. You don't want to use vegetable oil. Yeah, no cooking oil. You want to use good quality sewing machine oil, so you can get that from your dealer. Now, yes, this ruined my big reveal. You know, often when I said about this machine, I purposely took the screw out earlier.
I was like...
Yes, the machine is actually in good condition, but I took the screw out because I wanted to show you that often when I talk about this machine and I tell people, oh, it has lasted for so long, I haven't even changed the light bulb. And remember, and machines still do. Some of the machines still have the light bulb. I don't want to blind you with it. But again, this light bulb has been going on for 28 years. I know. It's amazing. So I purposely took off that screw. You know, normally the screw would go in there, but just to show you, yes, the light bulb is up in there and worked perfectly fine, and it's still going strong. It's amazing. So when you, again, look after your machines, get them serviced as necessary, then they'll last and last and last. But yes, specifically, I wanted to mention this again, because now it is the HD1000, and we have a number of front-loading machines. They have a different bobbin system than the majority of Janome machines. And again, I mentioned like the 1108 and the 1122. We've got the colorful range of machines, like the Arctic Crystal and the Blue Couture, and then there was the Pink Sorbet. All of those are front loaders. And what we're talking about there is we have two types, basically, a front loader and a drop-in bobbin. So the drop-in bobbin would have like the little plastic cover at the top, and we would remove the cover, and then you drop in your bobbin into the bobbin area. So the majority of Janome machines have that. But we do have quite a few that are this front-loading machine. So this is what we're talking about. When I take off my little accessory tray and I open it up, then I see with these front-loading machines, we have a separate bobbin case. Can you believe it used to be the same color as the metal used to be the same as that bobbin? But with my separate bobbin case and with my front-loading machine, I'm able to use metal bobbins. These are the only time we want to use metal bobbins. I often see on Facebook, and again, people ask me about when they have a drop-in bobbin, can they use metal bobbins? And they're really not recommended for the drop-in bobbin types. They're only recommended for the front loading. Now, specifically, this is a oscillating hook when it's vertical. And if you think of a fan, a floor fan sitting, and it oscillates, it moves back and forth. This is an oscillating hook that's vertical. So you may see on your blister packs when you inquire about various accessory presser feet, it may say for oscillating hooks. And that's what it means, is that it's vertical. And then, yes, they have a separate bobbin case. And now you may hear us all the time talking about when we're threading Janome machines, specifically the bobbin, for our drop-in type, we're always saying, look, make a P with your bobbin. So the thread comes off to the left here and goes around the bobbin in the shape of a P. So, oh, hello, Anne. Hello. Oh, my gosh, Anne, I'm amazed you have time because you do so many Facebook Lives. And Jennifer Tryon, yes, perfect shout out, Jen, because Jennifer is on the shopping channel here in Canada. Go to the TSC website. And Jennifer is presenting all day today. The showstopper is actually Janome. So you can go on the website, again, talking about machines and availability. Check with your Janome dealer on what's available. And then, yes, go to the shopping channel. They've got some fabulous deals today. 9850 embroidery combo machine, I know, is one of them. And I think CPX cover hem machine. And then the FA4 serger, I believe. So again, there's a number of machines and some fabulous Janome goodies. So again, double check there. So wonderful to see you, Jen. So with our bobbin, again, if it's a drop-in bobbin, we want to look for that P. But if it's an oscillating hook, it's a front loader, we actually want it the other way. We want to do it more clockwise. And this is the way we do it on our long arms. If you have our Quiltmaker Pro 16 or Quiltmaker Pro 18 that, again, have a separate bobbin case, we want the bobbin to come off clockwise. So again, and I mentioned this because there are technically two different types of machines out there. So if you read again on Facebook or social media, and if people are always saying, oh, look for the P, for example, if you have a front loader, you don't need to look for the P. You're going to do it again more clockwise. And then most importantly, when you click in your bobbin case, you literally want to hear, I've got to line it up, you want to hear it. Click, yes, that is very important. So when you are loading your bobbin, and again, I mentioned these little troubleshooting because when people say, oh, I have trouble and, my thread jams and things, that it's maybe not positioned properly. Now, your instruction manual goes over all of this, but still, you want to make sure it's lined up, and then you hear that click, and then you know it's in there, which is really secure. Now, also, I thought this was cute. Depending on where you're, when you're lowering your feed dogs, and this goes true of any machine that you're going to manually lower your feed dogs. Maybe you've got a little switch here, as I do, or maybe you've got it at the back of your machine. When I lower my feed dogs, and there you can see, oh, they've disappeared, and now I do my free motion quilting, and great. Now, when you go to raise your feed dogs and you position your lever so the feed dogs come up, and then you want, oh my gosh, where's my feed dogs? And then you're all in a panic and you think something is wrong with your machine. All you need to do is just rotate your flywheel, as I call it, or balance wheel. Did you hear that click? And then that brings your feed dog up. So nothing is wrong with your machine. You just need to rotate the flywheel, and then the feed dogs will come up automatically. So again, that's true of any machine that you're going to manually drop the feed dogs. If you have a machine that automatically does it for you, you don't need to worry about that. The machine will do it for you. But I also wanted to point out then on these mechanical machines, many of them, in order to wind the bobbin, you need to disengage the clutch, as it's called. So on certain machines, depending, again, your instruction manual goes over all of it. But on this one, again, this is like the HD1000, that I'm going to hold the balance wheel and then I'm going to disengage this inner wheel, this stop motion wheel. So that's going to disengage the clutch. Now I'll be able to wind my bobbin and my needle's not going to cycle up and down. Now, depending on your machine, maybe you actually just push your wheel a little bit and it kind of clicks in, at the back, and that way, again, that's going to disengage your needle moving up and down. So again, sometimes people message me and say, oh, when I'm winding the bobbin, the needle is still going up and down. Maybe you haven't disengaged your clutch as you should, which again, always check with your Janome dealer and check with your manual. This little tension guide for winding the bobbin. This again is on every Janome machine, I believe. All of our embroidery machines, doesn't matter which machine you have. You'll have a little tension guide here for when you wind your bobbin. And your thread is to go in between, just to where my stiletto is. It's to go in between those tension discs, not down here below them, not up against the machine. It's got to go in between those two pieces of metal. So again, when people say, oh, my bobbin, it's not winding right, it feels a little spongy, it ends up making a big mess, maybe your thread isn't in between those two tension discs. And again, this is true on any machine. And that's personally another thing I love about Janome is no matter what machine you have, they're basically all the same, and one just keeps building on the next. So when they start with, entry level, or like this machine as the HD1000 is kind of like mid-range, a little lower on the mid-range level, I guess. But as they build on the line and they add more features and more features, but the principle of the machine operation stays the same. So it really is easy if you upgrade and go up the Janome line with different machines, then the features are very similar, in all of them. So they're really easy to use that way.
You're very popular today. Janome America is here too.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, lovely. I always say, Janome is one big family, and I always say my Janome America cousins. So I love it. So yes, thank you, everyone. So yes, with your front loader mechanical machines, yes, you can use your metal bobbins. These came with my machine. Or you can certainly use our Janome J plastic bobbins. Absolutely. And the way my instruction manual told me to wind this bobbin is by inserting the thread up through like the middle of the bobbin and up through the hole. Now, in these metal bobbins, I've got a million holes, so no problem. If it's your plastic Janome J bobbin, then again, starting from the middle of the bobbin, and then it goes up through the little hole. Now, this is the way, again, my instruction manual said to do it, and this is the way. So therefore, again, this machine is 28 years old. So I've been winding bobbins like this for 28 years. Now, other machines, other instruction manuals give other ways of winding the bobbin. But for me, I've always done it this way, and I have never had a problem with weird tension and any of that. So I would say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So again, this is the way I always do it. So then I want to put my bobbin on the spindle there, and then I'm going to click it over, and I did disengage that clutch. And now I just hold on to that thread, and as I start winding, I could, once I get enough thread on my bobbin, I could stop and then clip that thread off. Sometimes, depending on the thread I'm using, it just breaks off. Today I'm using this beautiful red iris cotton quilting thread, so you can check with your Janome dealer if they have the fabulous iris thread. So again, I just wind that, and whenever I'm finished my bobbin, I won't wind the whole thing, but then I can go back in and just trim that little bit of thread off. And then there, my bobbin is beautifully wound. And then now make sure you engage the clutch again. So if you've had to turn this little dial to disengage it, make sure you turn it around to the right to engage it, and then it's going to work again just beautifully. So just little tips there. And again, that applies to like any machine out there. But I wanted to show you as well that across the front cover here, then it's the same with all the stitches. And again, it's the same with the HD1000. It's totally the same. It's got the 4-step buttonholes. It has our utility stitches like the multi-step zigzag, or it's sometimes called a tricot stitch. Or we've got the blind hem stitches, and we've got the decorative stitch like the feather stitch, stretch stitches. We've got the overlock or overcast stitch that mimics the stitch on a serger, which is one of the things that caught my eye when I read the ad, actually. So, and again, as a garment sewer, when I was in school, I would have loved a serger, which I eventually got at home. But, with a limited budget, kind of this is all I could get at the time. And really, I found for, a good 20-something years, this is really all I needed. So it's amazing of what you can do based on your needs, of course, but it's a really amazing on, even though this is a 14 stitch machine, it doesn't have hundreds and hundreds of stitches. But again, I went through school, I did buttonholes on it. My teacher, graded me the same as using the fancy buttonhole stitch machine I had at school that was all industrial and things. So yes, and it's like, so you really don't always have to have all that fancy stuff. Of course, I love to have it, and they've all got their purpose, but don't feel like, you have to have that. You can always start and then eventually upgrade as, time and needs and, budget prevail.
Machines are like that. They're meant for you to grow with.
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of these stitches, again, are blind hem stitch and our multi-step zigzag, the feather stitch. This is the stitch chart from the 6650. Very similar to the 6700 stitch chart. And so there's my feather stitch, and then there's our overcast stitch, and then there's our blind hem stitch. So these stitches are also the same on the 15,000 and all of the machines. They just keep adding more to them, but those same stitches, they may be different numbers on the various machines, but they're the same stitches. So again, that's why Janome machines are so easy to use as you go up the Janome line, because you're already familiar with those same stitches. And then these, if you can bring the camera down, were the feet that came with the machine. So a regular foot, and again, it snaps off as all, or most Janome feet, snap off. This is a 5mm machine, low shank. And I had talked before in our previous series, to find out if your machine is a high shank or a low shank, put your presser foot down on the bed of the machine and then measure up to where that little screw attaches your foot holder. If it's about 3/4 of an inch, it's a low shank machine. If it is about 1.25 inches, it's a high shank machine. So that's how you can tell that way. But yes, these are the feet that came with it. Now this cute little bar, you may wonder, what in the world is that? But this bar, again, according to the instructions, I put along with my regular A foot. And this is the wonderful thing about Janome, no matter what machine you have, my regular zigzag foot is my A foot. It's the same on every single machine. So that, when I add this little bar, this becomes my blind hem foot. So then I put up my blind hem, the fold of my blind hem, up against that black guide, and that's my blind hem foot. Now I demoed the blind hem foot, which is G, on the A to Z with Janome series, which is up on the Janome HQ YouTube channel. So you can go back for a demonstration on how to do a blind hem using the G foot. But when I compare, this is what, again, came with my 28-year-old machine, and I think it may still come. I should have checked what comes with the HD1000, if this little bar still comes with it. Because then here is the G foot, which is the blind hem foot, and then look, it's got that same little black rudder right down the middle of the machine. So it's like, it's amazing of what, again, how the different feet have been engineered and what they do, so you can have that same blind hem results using this little attachment that may come with your machine, or then maybe your machine comes with the G foot, so you don't have to have necessarily the specific foot if you have these two pieces. So I thought that was so cool. And then, yes, it came with the zipper foot Again, that looks like a normal zipper foot for so many of the machines. The rolled hem foot, this comes with so many machines. And again, I demoed the rolled hem foot on the D, is the D foot. So on the A to Z with Janome series, again, available on the Janome HQ YouTube channel.
We have someone from Dublin, I'm assuming Ireland?
Oh my gosh, fantastic. I don't know what time of day and night it is for you, but thank you for joining us here. This is my buttonhole foot. It's got a groove in the bottom, so then the stitches will form under that for the blind hem, the really tight satin stitch. I would use this foot as well to sew on the button. So this clear buttonhole foot is available in a separate blister pack that I talked about in the B episode of the A to Z with Janome series. So you can get a clear buttonhole foot for pretty much any machine as well, a 5mm, 7mm, or 9mm. And then some fun feet, even with a 5mm machine. Oh, don't think that, oh, I can't use all those fancy presser feet. This is my cute little pin tuck foot. Can you see the little grooves under there? Now this I bought separately. I don't know if it came, maybe my machine maybe came with a little bonus pack, or I think I just bought this separately from the dealer in the separate package. But I thought that was so adorable. So yes, you can get things like the pin tuck feet as well.
It's 6:30 p.m. in Ireland.
Oh, wow. Okay, so not too late. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us. That's fabulous.
Originally from Mississauga.
Oh, sweet. Ooh, a long way from home. That's wonderful. And then this as well was another, this is like our edge guide foot and also a blind hem foot as well with the movable guide. So yes, you can get a lot of the same presser feet that you can get for the 9mm, for example, or 7mm, more fancy machines. You can get a lot of those same presser feet for 5mm, kind of more basic machines. And where you can find that out is you go online to the janome.ca website and you look for our accessories guide. If you go to the website and you click the accessories tab, there is, in Canada, it's the Bilingual accessories guide. I have a feeling Celine had a hand in doing that. Yes, our fabulous Celine from Montreal. So in the accessories guide, it lists by alphabet on the various machines. So I talked about the accessories guide and kind of how to use it in the K episode of the A to Z with Janome series. But as I go through this guide, when I'm looking for machine categories, and I see OI is front loading models. So I can go through the guide and it lists the HD1000, the HD1000. Again, I mentioned the SVU 1122, 1108, 2112, 2212. And then again, now there's been a couple of additions to this as well. But yeah, so you can go through your guide. And so any machine that says I, so this is again a front loader. So I look for any parts with an I. Oh, there's a binding foot, for example, which I demoed in the W episode. It's the W foot of A to Z with Janome. So I can get a binder foot for my front-loading machine. I can get the blind hem foot adjustable one, which is that one. That again, which is I. But there's, again, many, many feet. Again, my pin tuck feet. So you just go through and find what is an I for the front loader machine. And then, again, contact your dealer and order your feet. This walking foot, for example, did not come with the machine, but I purchased it separately. But I wanted to show you as well. Again, this is like a kind of basic walking foot, and it's got like the upper feed dogs to it to help if I'm quilting through all layers, or I want to match plaids, or I've got really slippery fabric and I want to make sure that they end up at the same level. So then I use this even feed foot with those upper feed dogs. And can you see how this foot was like the origins of this is our fabulous AccuFeed Flex foot that I often call is like a walking foot on steroids. But it's got that same, upper feeding upper feed dogs basically to help move the fabric. So it's really cool to say, great, this worked beautifully, and then now some of our higher end machines come with the AccuFeed Flex,
Question.
but they still work beautifully together. Yes.
I'm not sure if it's a question we can answer, but the lady from Ireland has asked if the 360 DC that she has in Ireland, would we know what it was in Canada? I don't think.
Oh, I would have to check on
Yeah,
my
we'll-
computer. I don't know it off the top of my head because, Janome is a global company all around the world, but then each country is basically like their own subsidiary. So although we've got a lot of the same machines, there are some country-specific machines. So that one I'm not familiar with, but I'll certainly, once we finish this Instagram Live, I will go online and see if I can find that machine then. If you have questions or concerns about the machine, you can write me, would be easiest. Or again, if you'd like information about our upcoming online classes, you can write me classes@janome-canada.com. And again, if you've got specific questions about machines, then yes, write me classes@janome-canada.com, and then I can answer you that way personally through that as well. So yeah, so that is cool. Yes, because then again, our walking foot was kind of like the beginning origins of AccuFeed Flex Foot. So again, they work great. And then I was able also to get for my little 5mm machine here. This was my original Durning foot. That again, I purchased separately. It didn't come with my machine, but I purchased separately. But again, this darning foot has really not changed much, almost, in 30 years. But it did exactly what I needed. I really didn't do a ton of free motion back then. But, again, this was wonderful. It worked great. And again, this foot looks very similar nowadays. So it's pretty amazing. And also talk about versatility, that yes, with our 5mm machines, I talked about this in Janome's awesome accessory countdown, our flower stitcher, and it came with this very cool vintage packaging, and so many people since that broadcast, so many people have asked me about this flower stitcher. And again, Janome's had it a number of years. And yes, it will work with your 5mm machines as well. So then you can really increase the versatility of your machine by using the various accessory feet that are available for your machine. And that flower stitcher, for example, just by using regular, there was my little sample for it. So just by using regular zigzag stitches that are built into your machine, or the blind hem stitches built into your machine, then you can create a lot of these effects here. So again, you don't always necessarily have to have the biggest machines with a ton of stitches. You just need the right feet, and then you can increase the stitches of your machine, basically. It looks like you've got a fancier machine than you really do. So it's really amazing, again, the versatility of what you can do with it. This was a sample I showed during our awesome accessory countdown. This is just using shell tuck, again, built in to the HD1000, for example, built into my little machine. So this shell tuck, for example, is built into a lot of our Janome machines, so something very kind of basic. And then using the ruffler attachment, which is also available for 5mm machines, do this big ruffle on a home deck pillow. So how beautiful is that? So
We could do that sometime on
oh yes, I think that would be
Facebook Live.
yes, I think would be so fun. Absolutely. I've been meaning to update this sample with like different fabric, but it's so simple to do. And again, you just got to use your feet. So double check with your Janome dealer with what is available for your Janome machine. So yes, any other questions or concerns?
That's it. Just,
No,
Jen
okay.
Tryon said she's missing you on the shopping trip.
Oh, yes, I know. And it's like, it was so great. I got to help Jennifer a couple of times going to Mississauga to help her set up. And I got to see the TSC studios. And yes, it was always such fun. It was wonderful. But yes, she's got lots of goodies to share there. So again, hop onto the TSC website and see everything she's got to present. And then again, double check with your Janome dealer on what machines they each have, because that's information. Janome does not have access to what the dealers have each in their store. So double check your dealers in your areas for machines availability. But yes, specifically, then I was again sharing with you how my love affair with Janome started. Ooh, and then before I go, I should share my very first quilt. Made again 28 years ago. Yes, I had hair, but it blends with the Christmas tree. So there I am with my sister. She had just had my niece, who was a baby then. But yes, this was my very first quilt made with garment scraps. And some of those garments were constructed on this little 28-year-old machine. But this quilt was constructed on this 28-year-old machine. And I'd like to point out, too, probably my first 40 quilts. This is a 6 3/4 inch by 5.5 inch throat space, and literally probably my first 40 quilts. And when my niece turned 18 and I made her, this is a little crib size quilt, and when this niece that I made this quilt for, when she turned 18, I made her a new quilt with the same pattern for her now queen size bed on this machine. Yes, I should have brought the quilt with me. But yes, so that quilt, that giant queen-size quilt, went through the bed of this machine. So again, yes, we have fabulous bigger machines. Of course, we've got fabulous long arms. Yes, of course. But don't feel like you have to wait until you get those machines in order to do your quilting or in order to create. Yes, you can always start here. Just start, do all your quilting, and then again, as you can go up the line, then yes, upgrade to the MemoryCraft 15,000 quilt maker is what I did, because I wanted that 11 inches of throat space, or of course now we've got the fabulous Continental M7, which is 13.5 inches of throat space, or then you really go up to our Quiltmaker Pro 18, for example, 18 inches of throat space. So it's amazing of, again, what you can do, but you just got to start. So main thing, start, and then you can go from there. So speaking of Quiltmaker Pro 18, and again, Continental M7, MemoryCraft 15,000 Quiltmaker, those are all machines that will be coming up in the Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. But then again, normally, oh yes, I always like to give people a heads up, but it's like, no, it's a mystery. So you have to check back next Wednesday to find out what machine we're talking about next. So yes, and I'm hoping again to go all through the line, maybe not with every machine in the Janome line because there's hundreds and hundreds, but a lot of them at least.
And if they ever have, if somebody wants us to do one specifically.
Oh yes, by all means, yes, send us your comments, write them on Janome HQ or the Janome HQ Facebook page, what machines you would like us to feature, yes, by all means. So yes, fabulous. So I shall let you go all for today, and thank you all for joining me. And Tanya, if you want to say goodbye. Yeah, so I will see you all again next Wednesday at 1 p.m. for another Janome's Magical Machine Mystery Tour. Lovely. Thank you so much. Bye.